Love and freedom, two of the most beautiful gifts we can share with one another. But what happens when the emotional poison of fear sneaks in? Fear of loss, fear of rejection, or the fear of not being good enough. It can turn love into control, trust into suspicion, and connection into something unhealthy. In this video, we're diving deep into how fear impacts love, why freedom is the foundation of true connection, and how we can cultivate healthier, more authentic relationships. Ready to explore love without limits? Let's dive. Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Windtalker. I'm a spiritual life coach, yoga teacher, and energy medicine facilitator. Today I wanted to talk to you about two powerful forces in our lives, love and freedom. These are wonderful things, but there's something else at play here that I want to shed some light on. Fear. The emotional poison of fear has the ability to actually freeze us from truly experiencing love and living fully. And just a small statement before we begin. This kind of love that we'll be talking about today is applicable in any kind of relationship. It can be romantic, platonic, familial, professional, etc. Even your own relationship with yourself. So, we tend nowadays to think of love as something that holds and keeps us together and close. But Thich Nhat Hanh, a beloved spiritual teacher, gives us a beautiful insight into true love. He says, "You must love in such a way that the person you love feels completely free." Foreign concept, maybe. What does it mean to love in a way that gives freedom? What's standing in the way of that? Let's see if we can dive into these questions and explore how fear might be the very thing that holds us back from living love in its truest form. What is true love? This question reminds me of that 90s song, "What is love? Baby, don't hurt me." When we think of love, and we can totally thank Hollywood for this, it's easy for us to imagine holding tightly onto someone, thinking that love means being with this certain someone all the time, holding hands all the time, that they are with me and they are mine all the time. When we think of it this way, it kind of sounds less like acts of love and care and more like acts of clinging or possessing. But true love, as Thich Nhat Hanh teaches, is not about attachment and grasping. It's about freedom. True love is about giving the space for the other person to be themselves, free from judgment, free to evolve, and free to grow. It's about supporting them on their journey, not controlling them. His Holiness the Dalai Lama once said, "Love is the absence of judgment." But here's the catch. Fear can get in the way of love. When we're afraid of losing someone, of being abandoned, or of not being good enough, we can easily slip into certain controlling behaviors such as clinginess or possessiveness. Fear leads us to hold on tightly, and in doing so, we prevent the other person from experiencing the freedom they deserve. In a way, it's as if we're suffocating their sense of self-sovereignty. Now let's talk about fear, the shadow that often lurks behind the surface of our lives. I mean, we all have fears, but I think it's important for us to recognize and be mindful about how our fears work as an opposing force to love. There's an iconic line which emphasizes how unchecked fear can actually snowball into negative emotions and destructive behaviors. This particular quote can help us in aligning really well with themes of emotional awareness and personal growth. You probably know this character, Yoda, from Star Wars. Well, he's known for this powerful statement. Fear is the path of the dark side. Fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, and hate leads to suffering. Gotta love that little green dude. Fear often keeps us stuck in patterns that don't serve us. It tells us to control, to cling, and to shut down. It keeps us from acting freely and prevents us from being fully open to the potential of something better, the potential of love, and the potential of growth. One of the shadowy expressions, which sometimes can also act as a root of fear, is insecurity. The belief that if we let go, if we don't control something, then something bad will happen. And so we freeze, we hold back, and we hold tight. We don't take action because we're too afraid to move forward. And in so doing, we lose what we think we currently have. Think about it. Fear makes us feel small, and it keeps us from stepping into the expansive states of love that we're all capable of and searching for. It holds us back from the kind of relationships that Thich Nhat Hanh is speaking of, one where the people involved can truly feel completely free. Fear has a way of making us cling tightly to what feels safe, leading us to form attachments that may not always serve us. When these attachments come from a place of insecurity, they can grow into codependency, where we lose sight of our own self-worth and start relying far too much on others to feel whole. Over time, this can take away the freedom and balance in a relationship, which can lead to control and often feelings of hurt. And in that space of fear and need, love struggles to flourish, which leaves behind a sense of emptiness instead of the connection we truly long for. One of my favorite people in the world, Brené, speaks about human connection beautifully in her work. One of her well-known quotes on this topic is, "We, humans, are hardwired to connect with others. It's what gives purpose and meaning to our lives, and without it, there is suffering." Truer words were never spoken as far as I'm concerned. So why is freedom so important in love? It's because love isn't about control. It's about mutual respect and growth. In the Windtalker Method, one active definition of love is kindness with care. True love invites us to trust, to honor each other's individuality, and to celebrate the freedom and beauty of being who we truly are, without judgment, without fear. When we love in a way that sets the other person free, we create a safe space for them to be themselves fully. This doesn't just apply to romantic relationships, but to friendships, families, and even the relationships we have with ourselves. Think of this example. If a child is feeling fearful of a parent, they're not in a place of love. From their young perspective, their sense of safety and survival is being threatened. That's not love. Or when a person is too scared to tell their partner about what's on their mind, they're not experiencing love, they're in fear. There are far too many other examples that we can use here, but for now, let's move on. Freedom in love means there's no pressure. There's no expectation to be something we're not. Freedom in love means letting go of fear and creating a space where all people involved can grow and change at their own pace and in their own way. So now the natural question arises, how do we move from fear to love? How do we create relationships that honor freedom and love without the poison of fear holding us back? Well, here are some ways that I have personally found beneficial in my relationships, and one that I teach my students as well. Number 1, release control. Fear thrives in the illusion of control. The moment we let go of trying to control others or the outcome of a conversation or situation in a relationship, we create space. Bliss. And in that space, true love has a chance to flourish. So number 1, let go of the need to possess, control, or change someone or something. Number 2, embracing vulnerability. Remember that quote from Brené about how humans are hardwired for connection? Well, the truth is that we all seek to connect authentically with others. Fear keeps us locked in armor, afraid to show our true selves. This armor is something that we've built as a defense mechanism to avoid getting hurt again. More about that topic in future videos too, so stay tuned. This shield protects our vulnerable inner selves from the potentiality of experiencing pain and suffering again. The problem with the armor and having our shield up is that we're not showing who we really are. We are putting our armored version out there into the world instead of our natural, beautiful selves. So when someone attempts to connect with us, they end up connecting to and building a relationship with the armor. Love, however, calls us to be vulnerable, to open ourselves up without the fear of rejection or the fear of getting hurt. It's in that vulnerability that freedom and true connections can actually grow. This is a big topic and we'll further explore it in future videos on this channel. Number 3, face your fears. Identify the fears that keep you from loving fully. Is it fear of abandonment? Fear of not being good enough? Betrayal? Loss? By acknowledging your fears, processing and working through them, you can then step into a love that is expansive and free, and not confined by old insecurities. Number 4, trust and allowance for growth. Disclaimer. In most cases, and for most of us, trust requires time, and we humans have a tendency to be somewhat impatient. Fear keeps us stuck in the past, holding on to old wounds or expectations, what is nowadays termed catastrophizing. Love, on the other hand, allows for growth. Both your own and your partner's growth is in fact a form of change. In the Buddha's Universal Truths teachings, he says, everything changes and nothing stays the same. Here's an example. The level of mathematics you understood in grade 11 is way different from the math you knew back in 3rd or 4th grade. That change came from growth. Trust that change and growth are part of the journey and welcome those changes without the fear. Side note regarding this particular topic. Two side notes about this topic. Number 1, if you're scared that someone is going to grow out of a relationship, then please optimize and utilize the tools of clear communication. I talk about those heavily in the self-development sessions from the Windtalker Method. Website link in the description box for that page. Number 2, something I find myself talking about with a lot of my clients and students is the topic of emotional intelligence and maturity, as seen through the intricate dance of sovereignty and kindness, mind and heart. This takes time. Again, I talk a lot about this during the self-development sessions in the Windtalker Method. But I'm also considering making a short video about this topic soon. So please, let me know in the description box if you think I should make that video by leaving a comment there. Okay, sometimes we learn best from examples. So here's an example. One of my clients was struggling with an overwhelming fear of her partner leaving the relationship. This fear had become a barrier, preventing her from fully expressing and experiencing love. Through the Windtalker Method, we uncovered the emotional blocks and the limiting beliefs fueling her insecurities. And then, by using tailored exercises and practices, she learned to embrace trust and gained a deeper understanding of impermanence, the natural flow of life and the natural flow of relationships. As she, with time, released her attachments to control and certainty, she discovered a profound freedom which gave her access to love and loving wholeheartedly, without fear. This shift not only strengthened her relationship, but also deepened her connection to her partner and herself. Love that allows freedom is needed at all times, but especially during moments of conflict, insecurity, or when we feel uncertain. Fear often emerges in such moments, telling us to shut down or to cling tighter. The fight or flight response. But that's exactly when we need to choose love. The kind of love that trusts, that gives space, and that welcomes change, growth, and evolution. Where there is fear, there cannot be love. The two cannot occupy the same space. The power of love is most needed when we feel fearful. That's when we must choose freedom, the freedom to act without fear, to love without strings attached, and to trust in the process of life. Anyone and everyone can practice this kind of love. It doesn't matter your relationship type or status or even your past experiences with love. If you're ready to break free from the grip of fear and embrace a love that celebrates freedom, then this message is for you. You don't need to be perfect. Just be open to the possibility of growth, both in yourself and in your relationships. Every one of us has the potential of eliminating fear, the capacity to love freely without fear, and the choice to let the people around us feel free, loved, seen, and safe. As we close today's video, I want you to think about the relationships in your life. Are you loving in a way that allows the other person to feel safe and free? Or are there fears, conditions, or limitations that need to be addressed and maybe released one day? Let's practice a love that sets us free, not just in our relationships with others, but also in our own relationships with ourselves. If you found this video helpful, be sure to like and share it with someone who could use a reminder about the power of love and freedom. And don't forget to subscribe for more content on mindfulness, self-love, and personal growth. Remember, love is the antidote to fear. The more we let go, the more love has room to grow. Thank you for watching, and until next time, keep loving and living freely. Blessed be.